Whale Cemetery. Evidence of the flood of Noah's time in November of the 2011 year, information about an incredible find appeared. On the western coast of Chile, near the port city of Caldera, about 700 kilometers north of the capital Santiago, a bone layer was discovered. As a result of the excavations, about 80 remains of smooth whales were found, 20 of which were completely preserved. In addition to the skeletons of whales, the remains of an extinct species of dolphin with tusks, sperm whales and other marine mammals were found. Workers discovered the burial of fossils during the construction of the Pan American Highway. The remains are scattered along the highway, on a separate sandy hill measuring 20 meters wide and 800 meters long. Most of the whales reached about 8 meters in length and were perfectly preserved. The site of the find at the tip of the Atacama Desert is currently located high above sea level and at a distance of more than a kilometer from the coast. Locals have long known that it was the bones of whales sticking out of the hill, which is why the place was nicknamed Syrobalana or Whale Hill. The whales most likely ended up in this place about 4,000 years ago, when the whole world was covered by the flood waters of the time of Noah. When the water began to drain, the animals remained on the shallow bottom. Everything falls into place if you look at the situation from a biblical point of view. According to researchers from the scene, the results of observations clearly indicate a large-scale catastrophe. What prevents people from seeing the obvious connection between these fossils and the flood of Noah's time? The age attributed to the fossils is millions of years. From the biblical point of view, nothing is clear, because 4,000 years ago this area was not covered with water. Water covered it 2 million years ago. The age of the fossils was dated 2 million years ago by paleontologists. Rather, according to their statements, whales died from 2 to 7 million years ago. But where did scientists get this age from? Firstly, geological divisions and tiers are determined by the relationship of rocks and fossils found in them. Paleontologists claim that the age of fossils from this site is difficult to establish, which does not allow us to determine whether the whales really died at the same time. Secondly, once the divisions and tiers are determined, the age of millions of years is simply taken from the geological table. But where did the values in the table come from? They were established by an international committee, which bases its judgments on the geological philosophy of uniformitarianism, according to which everything is explained only by slow and gradual processes, or at least local catastrophes. In other words, uniform geologists are quite satisfied with the theory of a strong storm, earthquake and tsunami, but not a worldwide flood. However, biblical geologists, relying on numerous scientific data, consider the flood a historical event and claim that the layers containing fossils were formed during the flood. Millions of years have been drowned in the waters of the flood, because it refutes the assumptions on which they are based. Most geologists who adhere to the biblical point of view believe that the standard geological column represents the general order on the formation during the flood. Similar localized depressions exist in a number of other places along the western coast of Chile. Although they are relatively small for the sediments of the flood period, the properties of sedimentary rocks in these depressions and the abundance of fossils contained in them indicate that the formation occurred during a period of rapid and large-scale subsidence of the coast. Subsidence of this nature is quite real for the second stage of the flood, when the ocean basins sank, the continents rose and all the water poured into the ocean. Large-scale subsidence of the coast explains the rapid burial of whales and other animals. To preserve their remains, a quick burial was required immediately after death. When the ocean basins sank, almost all the water came down from the land, whales and other animals that died during the disaster were buried. It happened at the final stage of the flood. In general, if you look at rocks and fossils through the prism of biblical events, the riddle solves itself. Thank you for your attention, for subscribing to the channel, for the comments and for the like that you have put.